There he goes. All right. Now that Sunny's gone and I'm in control, we're going to do what I want. And what I want is to talk about GitHub Education and eventually Copilot. But I wanted to give you all a lot of information today about how GitHub Education can help you and the things that we offer. And then a brief session on using Copilot, understanding Copilot. Really, I'm here to talk about the ways that we believe Copilot is especially useful for students, whereas Copilot is especially useful for working developers in a very different way. Y'all are trying to accomplish different things. So let's talk about today. So what we're going to cover today are where you can learn GitHub completely, like just regular vanilla GitHub. Where can you go to learn all the ins and outs of that? We're going to talk about the Student Developer Pack. Hopefully a lot of y'all already have the Student Developer Pack. If you don't have the Student Developer Pack, I'm going to talk about not just how to get it, but what's inside of it and how to activate offers from lots of great companies. And finally, we're going to talk about how to use Copilot specifically as a student. And don't let the radio voice fool you. It's just a really good microphone. Hi, I'm PJ Metz. I am at Metz and Around on GitHub. And I'm a program manager of student communities. And I used to be a teacher. I was actually a high school English teacher for 11 years. I taught literature to mostly 16 to 18-year-olds, so what we call upperclassmen in American high schools. So the last 2 years of high school, I was focusing on that. It was mostly American literature, British lit, so lots of Shakespeare, The Great Gatsby, Catcher in the Rye, these sort of classic novels. I did a lot of teaching of those. And before I was at GitHub, I was at GitLab. That was actually my first tech job after I got out of teaching. And I was an education evangelist, meaning I worked with teachers and students. And then I did some community work at a company called Project Discovery. Project Discovery is a cybersecurity company. With all the vibe-coded apps that are getting released out there, I believe cybersecurity has a very rich future. So if you're interested in cybersecurity as a career, check out Project Discovery. They've got a great tool called Nuclei that's all about finding vulnerabilities inside of web apps and stuff. So cybersecurity's got a strong future ahead for those who are interested, and I highly recommend looking into it as a possible career. But this is me and my background and how I got here. Like I said, it's a little weird for a former English teacher to go from talking about poetry to, vulnerabilities and AI coding and all that kind of stuff. But I've been working in tech for about 4 years now. I transitioned my career in 2021. So the first thing we're going to talk about today and the first thing we're going to cover is where do you go to learn just GitHub. I assume many of you are aware of GitHub. I assume many of you have even used GitHub before. But I bet there's a lot of GitHub stuff that you don't know about or haven't had the opportunity to use because it's underneath that surface level. So really the first place, obviously, to go learn about GitHub, there's a whole course on Codédex. If you haven't taken it yet, make sure you take this course. It's a great introduction to version control and Git, and specifically GitHub. So that's a great place to go and learn. But let's say you've done that course and you're like, well, what do I go and do now? Where do I head now? We have, for people who are learning, an entire website called GitHub Learn. And inside of GitHub Learn, there's a lot of great stuff. And I'm going to take you there now so that I can show you some of the stuff that GitHub Learn has for you. Now, this is the home page, the landing page, but really the most important things you're going to see here are 3 areas: learn, practice, and certify. So learn is where you can go and browse content that's all about how you can learn about GitHub specifically. And it's a mix of places that it'll send you to. It can send you to Microsoft Learn, where you can do project-based exercise and learn about working with Copilot. You can learn about using an MCP server with GitHub Copilot from GitHub directly. You can learn about agent mode. You can go and just do regular introduction to Git from Microsoft Learn. Let's say you want to take a certification and prove that you understand GitHub. We have a 2-part series on Microsoft Learn that teaches you that. And if we scroll all the way down here, there are 21 pages of online learning available from a variety of sources. Now, y'all are already learning through Codédex, and There's so much that you can learn in Codédex, but you're already self-taught learners. Like if you're already taking the initiative to work with a system on your own, there's no teacher teaching you inside these courses. You teach yourself with the materials. So if you're already doing that, this learning content on GitHub Learn is another great resource for you. So that Learn button takes you to those, but we also have our own homegrown, homemade group of skills for GitHub that uses GitHub to teach you GitHub. So that can be kind of confusing at first, which is actually why I recommend people who are learning do something like the Codédex course first in order to understand some basics. But then when you're looking to add on to that learning and do more, all the skills inside here at learn.github.com, there's tons of skills on just GitHub in general, using Markdown. I tell people that Markdown is like the next most important thing to learn how to write after you've actually learned to write code. Everything uses Markdown. In fact, you can even use Markdown inside of comments in Discord. Markdown is everywhere. We've got a whole skill on making static sites, how to make pull requests, how to resolve merge conflicts, using code spaces, repo management, a whole section on Copilot and AI, how to use GitHub Actions, which is our version of CI/CD, which is automation of your code, automatic testing, automatic deployment, automatic maintenance. There's so much you can learn, and because you're already self-taught learners, you've already built that muscle in your mind on how these things can help you and work with you. So all of these, if you click into one, click into communicate using Markdown. This takes you to a repository inside of GitHub. And I'll zoom in a little bit so we can see just a little more clearly. But this is a repo from the skills dev org. And down here in the README, which is on every GitHub repo page, it tells you exactly what to do. You start right here, click this to start the course, and it walks you through inside of GitHub how to use GitHub. And that's how all of these skills courses work. It's fantastic. And I really can't say enough about really taking the time to do these with fidelity. If you just go and click and do the things and don't really pay attention, you're not really going to learn. But if you really take the time to work with this, it will help you. So that's that. The last thing from learn.github is I want to let you know about GitHub credentials, and that you can get hold on. I've said this word before. I know how to do it. Certifications. I was trying to say certified and certifications at the same time, and it didn't work. But you can get certified in a variety of things that are specific to GitHub. So you can get Copilot certified, Foundation certified, admin, which is way more advanced. That's like you're the person who runs GitHub for your company. So I'd say start with Foundations. Start learning about actions and security. These can really be really helpful. But Foundations is what you're going to want to look at probably first. And this goes on a resume, and you can prove to people that you know and understand GitHub. It's a great way to prove to people who are possibly thinking of hiring you that this is a good idea. Right? Hire me, I know GitHub. So that's what we have inside of GitHub Learn. There's a bunch of resources there. I obviously don't have time to go through every single one. But after you've finished your Codédex course, head to GitHub Learn, and there's even more information there for you. I feel like I gotta keep track of the chat, but y'all are chatting so much in here. It's amazing. If you do have questions, put them in the chat, and we'll try and hold on to them for later on. But yeah, want to make sure that it's all going to work. So that's GitHub Learn. That's what we recommend for if you're trying to learn how to use GitHub. We have all those resources available. It is all self-serve, but since I'm talking to a bunch of people in Codédex, you're already self-taught learners. I was a self-taught learner when I got into tech. So you understand that you have to take the time to process and work. Now I want to talk to you about the Student Developer Pack. First off, in the chat, how many of you have the Student Developer Pack already? Type in the chat if you've got the Student Developer Pack. I can't wait to see. Honestly, I have no idea how many of you have it. Several people are typing. I love it. Just waiting to see some responses. October 1st, you got it. Congrats on getting it so recently. That's great. What the Student Developer Pack has for you is free GitHub Pro, more Copilot minutes, more code space minutes, a bunch of free stuff from GitHub, and a bunch of free stuff from other companies too. And Juan, yeah, I remember you saying you had a problem when you submitted. I'm going to work with you on that later. But yes, if you don't have it, get it. And if you're having trouble getting it, I'll have some ideas on how to get it more easily. So the Student Developer Pack, free stuff from GitHub Education. So GitHub Education, I think we have 10 people on the team. And a lot of the things that we do, our main job at GitHub Education is to help people who are learning. And it's not just students, there are adults who learn too. Now, to get the Student Developer Pack, you have to be attending a university or a similar institution. More on that later. But we want people who are learning to have access to the things that help them learn and retain knowledge better. So GitHub Education is a team that's our whole job. And a lot of the stuff we offer, like I said, is free GitHub products. You can get GitHub Pro, you can get code spaces, extra minutes, more Copilot, more minutes for actions. We offer a product called GitHub Classroom that teachers can use to more easily bring GitHub to students. Oh, there's a GitHub Enterprise. We don't give you Enterprise, but we offer GitHub Enterprise to schools. And so like universities get Enterprise for free from us, which is pretty cool. But of all this stuff that we offer, all the things that we do, the thing I really want to Student Developer Pack. I think that's the thing I want to focus on for y'all because there's so much you can get. So with the Student Developer Pack and as a verified student under GitHub Education, which we'll talk about the process of becoming verified soon, you can use professional developer tools. There's all these companies who want to give free stuff to y'all, like lots of free stuff to y'all. You can more easily create a portfolio of your work that you can then show off to other people. You can connect with other people in the GitHub student community, working on real world projects by working on open source. I can't say enough about how useful and how good working in open source can be for people who are learning and for students. It's unreal. And finally, access to the Student Developer Pack. And the pack is at this URL, but you don't need to worry about that because first I want to talk to you about some frequently asked questions. So before you sign up for the Student Developer Pack, if you're a person in the audience that doesn't have the Student Developer Pack yet, I want to point you to this set of frequently asked questions. Now, to apply for the Student Developer Pack, we require that we are able to verify that you're an actual student. And the way we do that is have you apply with something that verifies that you are a student. This, as you can probably imagine, is a vector for fraud. A bunch of people who are like, yeah, I'm a student, and I had Sora make a video of me looking like a student holding up a fake ID, and that's going to get me verified. So there's a bunch of fraud out there that we have to protect against. So we work really, really hard to keep only students getting these benefits. And thus, if you just go and apply with your GitHub account as it is right now, you might get rejected at first, even though you're a student. So this frequently asked question page that we just linked, and thank you, Sunny, for linking that, is a bunch of things that let you know, hey, here are the requirements to get approved. How do you get verified? And then what documentation you should be submitting in order for it to happen. Now, a couple of really quick and easy things you do, and I'm scrolling through this because I want you to see it's not just about all the stuff you can get, but it's about, like, this is a lot. And I'm telling you, if you have not applied yet, read this whole thing first. Don't skim it. Don't browse it. Don't go and get it. Like, read it and make sure to understand this, because if you get rejected and you just keep applying, then that's going to end up being, oh no. Sorry, my second screen messed up for a second there. It was terrifying. So this has a bunch of help for you in order to make sure that you are able to prove that you are who you say you are. So down here, my application was rejected. Make sure your billing information is on. Billing information is inside of your GitHub profile. Make sure you have two-factor authentication on. For billing information, by the way, we don't need a credit card. We need your address. That's it. We have a list of common reasons an application is rejected and how to fix it. If you just do all of this first, it's way more likely that you're actually going to get not rejected. You're going to get confirmed and you'll get your benefits. I brought up that fraud and stuff. I need you to know, if you're caught committing fraud to get student developer packs, you can get your entire GitHub account banned. The whole thing, right? The whole thing. So is it really worth it to like commit fraud? No. I saw a question in the chat. Students at Europe that don't pay for university? Yeah, no. Students across the world have the student developer pack. Students in India, Sri Lanka, Nepal, South Korea, Uganda, Ghana, Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, Canada, US, UK, all over the place have this. My face cam video is gone though. Okay, 1 second. Let me fix that. For some reason, my pro camera decided to die. Hey, we fixed it. We're good. It might have been a power surge. Thanks for checking on that. All right. So for learners, if you're not an actual student, the student developer pack is not available. We have to reserve it just for students. Some learners who are at like, I think sometimes at specific like boot camps can get it, but it's a little bit trickier. Mostly it's for like students at registered universities and not registered at what's the word? It's at real universities. But again, we don't just say, oh, nothing. If you just applied, it takes a little while. Yeah, accredited. Holy smokes, Eric. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having my back there. Thank you. Accredited universities. Confirmation comes usually within about 3 days. And if any issues arise, you can always reach out to education support. All right. So this frequently asked questions is very important for you. It's very helpful. Again, reading this will help you get what you need out of the there we go. Out of the student developer pack. But I have a link for you all because you're here with Codédex. If you sign up with the gh.io/Codédex25 link, this takes you to your settings where you can actually apply. So the application is here in your settings under billing and licenses. There's education benefits. You click this and it starts an application. Obviously, you're picking student, putting the name of your school, what's your school email address, and all of that. So all of this happens inside your settings. Remember, we talked about billing and license and like the overview. You should have your billing information filled out here with an address. Payment information. I think it's under payment information. Yeah, so you have to have an address here. And that's my old address. So now that that's on the internet, that's fun. But anyway, that is how you apply. So gh.io/Codédex25 is how you apply for these benefits. Okay. Once you have the benefits and once you're in, this is what the dashboard looks like for someone who has their benefits. And I need to do some real quick. I need to unshare my screen for a second and then reshare my screen so that I can log out and in here so I can show you what this looks like. But I'm going to head to this link in 1 second. So give me 1 second. I'm going to unshare my screen. And I'll be back in 1 second if y'all don't mind. It's complicated. I have a student GitHub account that I use to understand what it's like to be a couponed user as a student, and I just need to log in on that, and I need to go to here, and you can't see what I'm doing right now, but that's okay. All right, here we go. Share your screen. Screen share, make selection, share this window. Can everyone see this window now? Sweet, nailed it. Thank you, Frosty Alien. Appreciate your help today. All right, so this is the dashboard once you're verified and what it all looks like. I want to take you down to the student developer pack specifically now so I can tell you all these other companies that you're going to get some benefits from. All of these things right here are experiences. They're cool. They talk to you about, like, if you want to learn about open source, there's offers in the bundle. It gives you kind of a step-by-step guide, but I'm scrolling past all of this because I want to get to all offers. All these offers down here are from companies that want to give you stuff for free for being a student. Namecheap, Name.com, DigitalOcean, Azure, JetBrains, Codédex, what are y'all doing there? Heroku, DataCamp, MongoDB, Termius. Notion wants to give you free stuff. GitHub Pages wants you to have, you get a free site for your account. Pomadun, Datadog, AppWrite, GitLens, 1Password, Stripe. Look at this. All of these companies want to give you something for free if you're on the Student Developer Pack. It is a gigantic amount of free cool stuff that you can get. Arduino Education, free Arduino Cloud for 6 months and discounts on hardware. Adafruit, Sentry, Unreal. All of this stuff is available for you. So after you get the Student Developer Pack and you want to activate an offer from a company, when you're inside, it's education.github.com/pack. When you find an offer you want, let's say you want the JetBrains offer, free subscription for students renewed annually. Is it really? That's a pretty good microphone if you can hear the wheel. There's a link inside of each of these that takes you directly to the place where you apply. JetBrains Student Pack, all-in-one developer toolkit for study and job prep, right? If you go back to here, if you want to unlock the Codédex one, 6 months of Codédex Club. If you want to unlock MongoDB, you click it and it says, hey, GitHub Student Developer Pack gets you $200 worth of benefits. And they takes you to a page that tells you exactly how to sign up. And these benefits are available while you have the pack. Each company has different benefits and different ways to activate the benefits, but it's always a link right here to go and actually activate it. Reminder, if you're having trouble with the Student Developer Pack, if you're having trouble with getting anything up and offered, if it's from GitHub, use GitHub support. But if it's for one of these companies, there's a support link there as well. So if you're having trouble with your Requestly support or with your Requestly offer, then you head down here and you head to their support team. Okay? Okie doke. So I just wanted to walk you through how you actually unlock that stuff. It's really, it can be kind of hard to get all that taken care of sometimes. I can understand the sort of difficulty in like navigating to this page and getting it activated and doing that. So I wanted to walk you all through that first real quick to make sure that everyone was on the same page about it. So that's all the stuff that we have offers on. That's the Student Developer Pack. That's GitHub Education. That's how to sign up. I'm sure now we're excited to actually talk about GitHub Copilot and the reason that y'all are here. And thank you, Sunny, for dropping these links in the chat and helping make sure everyone's seeing all this stuff. Thank you for your help on all these links. I'm giving away a lot of links today. So, Copilot. And specifically what I want to talk about today is learning with Copilot. And understanding how to learn just kind of with generative AI in general. I gave a talk. In fact, it was my first tech talk ever called Confusion is the Sweat of Learning. And it's actually available on YouTube. I didn't include a link because, you know, it's out there. If you want to Google Confusion is the Sweat of Learning, PJ Metz, it's on YouTube. Check it out. It's my first tech talk I ever gave. I was actually still a teacher at the time. But Confusion is the Sweat of Learning is based on this article called Telling You the Answer Isn't the Answer. And this is an article from 2013 that was in Wired magazine. And this is a physics professor at Southern Louisiana University. His name's Rhett Elaine. I have used all of my free articles for Wired. But if you still have a free article from Wired, you'll be able to read this. But the basic idea is, in education, it doesn't make sense to just tell somebody what the answer is. In fact, in any kind of learning, it doesn't make sense to tell you what the answer is. And that comes through in this analogy of confusion is the sweat of learning. So think about it this way. Let's say you go to play a game with someone. You go to play soccer or basketball, or you go to play hurling if you're in Ireland, or cricket, whatever game you're going to go play, or you're just going to go and work out and lift weights. If you play a game outside And if you work out and you do not get sweaty, do you actually feel like you've worked out? Sweat and the sort of tired way the body feels and that sort of like reaction to lots of physical exertion and all that work makes you feel like you worked out. I know that I don't feel like I've worked out unless I'm crazy sweaty. If I'm like really sweaty, then I'm like, awesome, amazing. I worked out hard. When we're learning something new, confusion is just like sweating. You need to be confused and you need to be unsure of what's happening in order to learn. Literally, your brain getting confused is your brain rearranging itself to take in new information. So keep this in mind. If you're doing something and you're not confused, you're likely not learning something new. You probably already know it. Let's think about this in terms of generative AI. If you take Copilot and you just say, I need an application that does this, and you give it a prompt and it spits out the application, did you learn how to make that application or did someone else make it for you? Actually, let me put this another way. Let's say you're playing a video game with a friend, right? And you're okay at video games. You're a little new, but your friend's kind of an expert. They really know this video game really well. You're playing a game and you get to the last level and you can't do it. And you say, I just can't get past this. And your friend goes, do you want me to do it? And you say, yeah. And you hand them the controller and they beat the level. Did you beat the level or did they beat the level? Did you learn or did Copilot do it for you? Or did ChatGPT do it for you? Did this do it for you? Now, this is not to say that generative AI is going to be detrimental. In fact, there's a lot of great ways to use generative AI. My idea here and what I want to convey to you is like when you're learning, if it just spits out answers, that's not useful to you. Something gives you the answers, that's not going to be helpful for you. But there are ways to use it, and I'm going to talk about it at the end of this section. So let's talk about every single AI, agent, bot, ChatGPT, all of it. When it is giving you results, the one thing that every single one of them is telling you, and you can check, every company that's doing some kind of generative AI that gives you something says, verify the output, check the results. AI can make mistakes. AI can hallucinate. You have to make sure that you verify the output. Now, if you're just brand new to coding and you ask generative AI to spit out an entire application for you, how can you verify the output if you don't understand what it's done? This is very important. This is very, very important to understand. If you cannot verify the output, if you cannot go in and verify that the code it gave you is accurate and good, and you just push it to prod, that can lead to a lot of unknown problems later on. So what I'm telling you as learners is really there's two scenarios for you while you're learning. The first one, Gen AI does the work for you. I remember seeing a video of a student, I think it was UCLA. He was at his graduation and they were filming people in the audience and everyone's excited. And he held up his laptop and he was pointing at ChatGPT, running and making code for him at his graduation. And he was essentially saying, thanks, ChatGPT, I graduated. And as a teacher, as a former educator, I'm like, oh no. Did you just have it do all the work for you? Because what's going to happen is you didn't learn something. The whole point of school is to learn. The whole point of education is to learn something. If you're just having someone else do the work for you, then did you learn? You didn't, very likely. You may have learned something and it may have taught you something, but generally speaking, if it just does the work for you, you're not learning. So that scenario, Gen AI does it for you. You don't really learn. The other scenario, you do it on your own. You make a bunch of mistakes. I'm telling you, tons of mistakes. You're going to make lots of mistakes constantly. I make mistakes every day. I have made mistakes in this presentation in front of you all. You're going to make mistakes, but Mistakes are how you learn. There's a reason that we still teach basic arithmetic to kids. There's a reason people still have to learn times tables. And there's a reason that we still do all that, even though we have calculators. You have to understand the process, and you have to understand the inner workings of something in order to benefit from the tool. Let me talk about another analogy here. I really like analogies. And analogies are proven. It activates a part of your brain that already understands something in order to take another part of your brain that doesn't understand it, and it connects them. So let's imagine that Sunny and I, we're both going to quit our job, and we're going to open a tree cutting service. We're going to go and we're going to cut down trees for people. Sunny and I, let's pretend we're experts, right? We can give you access to the slides. I'll find a way to get you the slides, Enigma. Sunny and I are experts. We really understand trees. We get it. Different types of trees require different types of tools to cut them down. And we've got this chainsaw. It's the best chainsaw, and it's just fantastic. But you might be okay, so we're going to hire Eric to be our new employee. And we say, Eric, how much experience do you have with chainsaws? How much experience do you have cutting down these trees? And even though he's proven to be the one that has the most experience, he goes, oh, I've never really cut down trees before. I am not going to hand Eric the chainsaw if he's like, I don't have a lot of experience, because it is a tool that he doesn't know how to use. I need to teach him how to use the tool safely. I need to teach him what the expected results of that tool are, how to use it, how to operate it safely, what the expectations are. And when he understands that very well, then I'm okay with him using the tool. If you're looking at Copilot as a tool and you're like, yo, let's just mess with it, it could not work the way you expect. It might not be quite what you're thinking. So it is important to take the time to learn how to use the tool very intentionally. So intentional learning, where do you go to do that? Well, I mean, obviously, Codédex has a whole course on GitHub Copilot, so you can start there. It's great. So you can start there, and you can start learning. You can learn from other people's projects and learn with them with Copilot. And this is where I get to shout out this vibe coding challenge that y'all had, which had a lot of amazing projects in it, like super cool. I went and I was looking at the winners earlier, and I saw that the top winner was a user named Valerie, and they made something about literature. And so I was immediately invested, and I also immediately forked that repo. And where am I? I need to get to... Yeah, let's go to my repos. And I now have forked the repo. And I now have a copy of Exquisite, the one and only library for literature lovers, in my thing right here. Okay, so this is in my workspace, and I've actually already created a code space with it. Well, I tried to, but apparently it's not there anymore. Let's see what happens here. So this is going to build a code space. Code space, for those of you who don't know, is VS Code inside your browser, directly connected to a repo. And I'm going to show you one of the ways that you can use other people's projects to learn while using Copilot. So the first thing I got to do is I got to go in here and make sure I have Copilot installed. Let's install that. Let's install the chat. And it's funny, I literally set this up just beforehand, but for some reason it didn't hold on to it. So like I'm having to do all this work again in front of y'all. And I'm going to have to make sure I log in as well. Oh, I know why, because I'm under best student. Hold on one second. I know why. See, this is the problem of having 17 GitHub accounts. I knew I had a code space already. Boom, Psychic Orbit. So let's get rid of that. We're in here now. Cool. Okay. So you can see I was already talking to Copilot about this project. I forked it. I didn't know what it was done. They didn't use Copilot. They just are so amazing they did it on their own. I mean, they might have. So as soon as I had it, I installed Copilot and I went into the Copilot chat and I just said, hey, can you explain this project to me? And it said, based on the workspace structure and file names, this project appears to be an Electron-based desktop application, likely built with React using TypeScript, Tailwind CSS for the front end. Here's the main components. I was like, cool. It's for reading or managing books built with Electron, React, and Tailwind. All I did was I opened it up. I opened up the project. I went into my Copilot chat inside of VS Code, inside of Codespaces, and I asked it, what's this project do? And I was like, hey, Discord presence.ts, what does this file do? This file is a wrapper for integrating Discord rich presence into the Electron app using the Discord RPC library. Here's what it does. And so now I'm going through and I'm asking specifics about files. Additionally, inside of here, and I'm going to pull this terminal down because we don't need it, and I'm going to move this over here. So now we're looking at that same file that it just explained to me. And let's say I get to this function, async function connect, that takes in a client ID type string. And if it's, I think not RPC, return. If it's client and connected, return try. And then it's a try catch statement. Great job on the try catch. Nice job. But I've just highlighted this particular function. And I want to show you how I can use Copilot to help me understand it. I'm going to right click this. I'm going to open inline chat here in the options, and I'm going to say, can you help me understand this function as it relates to the rest of the project? And Copilot inline directly over top of this using GPT 4.1, which, by the way, you can pick your model for Copilot. I don't know if you knew that. But inline right here, it shows me all of those answers. And if I want, I can view it in chat, and now it's over here in chat. And what am I doing here? I'm not having Copilot write code for me. I'm not having Copilot do something for me. I'm having it explain. I'm having it teach me. I'm having it help me learn. Here's a breakdown of the connect function and how it fits with other code. Here's the purpose. Here's a step-by-step explanation of it. It talks about how to get login attempts. How does it relate to other functions? How does it flow? What are some gotchas? Here's a look at all this information I got. All of this. So this is a very helpful way to use Copilot for you to learn. Now imagine this isn't just one of the vibe-coded presentations that they gave, which, by the way, congratulations. Those were all really cool applications. I really enjoyed that. Imagine it's a open source project that you're trying to get into. You get into open source, you're trying to figure out how to contribute, you're a little confused about the project, you think you know what it is, but you can fork it, get in Copilot and say, Copilot, help me understand this. Copilot, I'm trying to figure out what to do here. Copilot, does this have a contributing.md file in here so it can tell me how to contribute? And Copilot will look and give you that information, and it can help you understand and can help you learn from others. We have a video series with one of our great DevRel people who's got such a great sweater on in that thumbnail called Get Started with Copilot. And it is a long course, and I think my camera just died again. Oh man, sorry y'all. First day using the internet, I guess. But this video is a very, very in-depth video that talks about a couple different things with Copilot. So the first one's just getting started. Then it's prompt engineering essentials, securing your code, Copilot 101 essential features, and then a longer one where he builds a REST API using Copilot and then builds a React app and does test-driven development and does code review and refactoring. This hour-and-a-half long video will take you from knowing nothing about GitHub Copilot to knowing a whole lot about it. It's out there. It's on YouTube. It has 37,000 views. Are you one of those views? You should be. It could really help you in learning. Remember, all of this is about intentional learning ahead of time. This is David Malin, who is basically a hero of mine. He's one of the best educators I've ever seen in my life. And he has a video that talks about how he teaches Harvard's computer science course, CS50, and how he uses AI inside of it. Okay? So this video is much shorter, but it talks about what I think is very important when you as learners are using AI, right? Legend. How you should be considering AI as you're learning. He talks about the importance of having guardrails in it about not just getting answers from it. And I wholeheartedly agree with him. You will not learn if you are just getting answers, but you will learn if you're using AI in reasonable ways to help structure the learning and not necessarily just to like give you answers. Very important, very important. So love this video. And even like, I was just there, hold on. He's got another one from September of last year where he just talks about artificial intelligence as a whole lecture, and it's fascinating. It's brilliant. He's absolutely unreal. So this is all part of what I'm telling you is intentional learning. You need to intentionally set out to learn how to use the tool. You can't just, I'll figure it out as I use it. There are people who can just figure it out. Yeah, I totally stole the code. I forked that and it's mine now. There are people who can just look at something and figure it out. But I need to tell you that like what you really should focus on is intentionally learning the tool piece by piece, step by step, and finding out where it can work for you. So intentional learning of the tool, looking at people's projects, learning how Copilot can help you learn, looking at this video, looking at how educators are looking at it. There's a lot of work that goes into this. You cannot just breeze through the learning part and be learning. Finally, this is something that they actually use in CS50. This is CS50.ai. CS50.ai is a debugger that uses OpenAI underneath the hood, and you can ask it questions about your assignments inside of Harvard's CS50 class, which is free online. You can take CS50 right now if you want to. And this debugger does not give you an answer. It is programmed to say, do not give code, do not give an answer, but it will help you understand something. So I'm currently taking CS50 because, like I told you, I was a high school English teacher. Quack, quack. I love it. I was a high school English teacher. I don't have a background in being a developer. I don't understand it. I need this extra background and help. So I've slowly been taking CS50, and I got stuck on a course on week 3 trying to make a Caesar cipher. So for those of you who don't know, a Caesar cipher is a way of like rearranging letters so it creates a code that needs to be broken. So take a message, messing with it, and then unmessing with it to decode the message. So ciphers and secret messages and stuff like that. I had to build that in C, and I was having a lot of trouble with it. So I went to their AI, and I asked it questions. I was like, I'm having trouble doing this. I need help. And instead of just giving me the code, like if you went to ChatGPT and said, I need a Caesar cipher, ChatGPT will just give it to you, right? Write me a Caesar cipher in C. You could even include the whole prompt that I received as an assignment. You can just plug it into ChatGPT and it'll give you an answer. And I know some of you have been doing that in classes too. I don't learn if I do that. I don't learn, and the point of the course is to learn. And so instead of that, they created this in-house AI that will not give you the answer, but it will ask you questions to help you understand something deeper. So I could ask it specific questions. I'm having trouble initializing the C program with parameters. I'm confused about how to do that. I don't understand why the main function inside of this has to return a number. Why is that? You can ask it questions and it gives you responses back that isn't just the answer. Because no, I lost it. Hold on. No, not that. Hold on. Sorry, first day. I was trying to go way back and instead I like ruined my life. Because telling you the answer isn't the answer. You need to take the time to really learn and think about learning. And so this helps you learn over time. So here's 3 ways you can use Copilot right now that isn't giving you the answer, that isn't code generation. First off, explain. Highlighting a function and saying, explain this function to me. Explain this file to me. How does this variable pass data back to the user? Copilot's really good at understanding code. So if you're just having it give you code, you're not really utilizing it. Have it explain things to you. Take someone else's code and have it explain it to you, and ask Copilot questions about it. Get it for help. I've written this function. What are 3 ways to accomplish the same outcome as this function? Is this function, memory efficient? Is this a good idea? Does this make sense? What are some possible errors this code might produce? You're asking Copilot these questions, and it's not just spitting out code to you. It is helping you learn. Finally, a really great way to use it, and I think not enough people know how to do this, is to document your code. Add comments to the highlighted code describing its purpose. Start a doc file for me inside this code base, documenting the project as it is now. And this is just a great, great way to get started in using Copilot that isn't just writing code for you. I can't say enough. As soon as I saw generative AI showing up, I had been out of teaching maybe a year. And I remember thinking, I was like, man, I'm glad I'm not an English teacher right now, because this thing can just really just ruin teaching right now. But I immediately started thinking, I was like, well, how can we get around that? What can we do? And like, there's so many ways to use code generation. And there's so many ways to use AI that isn't just code generation. You're asking it questions. It is a 24/7 teacher's assistant, right? Great help. Great help, great help. So these are really, if you're a learner, I'd say these are the 3 ways I feel like you should be using Copilot mostly. Having it explain code to you that you're unfamiliar with, having it help you with code you've written to consider things you might not have, and especially for documentation. I think it's really, really valuable there. That's it. I know we have some questions, right? There's definitely a ton of questions, and I know I went kind of long. I'm so sorry. I had so much to cover, but I'm here for questions. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. I appreciate you all just like sticking with me. I know this was a whirlwind and it just took so long, but like, thank you so much for your time, for coming here and for learning with me. Let's do some Q&A and some questions. All right. Let's see. Thoughts on apps like Lovable? Oh, I don't know Lovable yet. What's Lovable? Create apps by chatting with AI. There's a lot of companies that have done something like Lovable, I think. And I think that like, it depends on the use case. And it depends on what you're using it for. Like, I wouldn't say have Lovable build me an app that I then put into the App Store, but having something build me an app that's just for me, I could see that. I really think there's a future where we don't need app stores anymore, and you can just tell a very, very intelligent model, I need help building an app for, let's say I'm like a carpenter. I need help building an app that's going to help me keep track of my clients and blah, and it'll build you an app that's like just for you, and that you never release to the world. If you're never releasing it to the world, there's much less issues with something like that. But my worry about things that are like fully vibe coded and not made by an engineer that truly understands security, the ins and outs of like stuff, I'd worry that like there's a lot of problems that come if you release things like that in the public. But a personal app, I could see that being really useful. Oh, Moyo, your old laptop? No, everything should be on GitHub, man. Oh, you have to have everything on GitHub. Papyrus said, if you have GPT Plus, how can you connect that with Copilot, have access to more intensive thinking models? Literally, I would have to Google that. I know that we have a lot of models available inside of Copilot automatically. I would literally Google connect GPT Plus with Copilot. I guarantee there's either something out there that's covering it, or if it's not possible, it'll just say that. I'm sorry, I don't know better personally. A lot of what I do is inside of like the student world. Sunny said, I was an English teacher in past life. How did I make the move to project discovery? GitLab. I love it. I love it. I found out what people in tech are making. And I was not making nearly that much as a teacher. I was teaching in Florida at the time. I really thought I was going to teach until I was done. But I ended up switching just for money. But developer relations and community are two jobs inside of tech that relied on my teaching skills. Like a lot of the skills I learned as a teacher of keeping organized, of helping explain something complicated and make it easier to understand is valuable inside of tech. In fact, someone told me when I was transitioning to this job, they were like, look, the hard part about developer relations, which developer relations is a career path where people explain how a company's product works. So GitHub has a DevRel team and they help teach people how to use GitHub for their projects and for companies and for enterprise and all that stuff. So it's essentially teaching at its core. So I was able to take the skills I learned as a teacher and I was able to immediately apply them to the new realm in tech of DevRel. And then I went to a community school to learn how to do community management. But a lot of those skills were actually part of what I did as a teacher as well. I mean, I'm managing a classroom full of students, making them feel like they belong, making them feel like they have a voice, things like that. Let me see. Best case using Pilot, using in Bahasa, not in English. So yeah, if it's not in English and it's not a supported language, it can get a little more complicated. We have several supported global languages for Copilot, but it truly depends on your individual case, and like it could lead to different results because all AI is non-determinate. Like you can ask AI the same question 5 times in a row and you'll get 5 different answers. So it's always going to react a little bit differently to the person's prompt. So really just sort of like not make it, not break it and just mess with it, but like literally like just trying different things and seeing what works and what doesn't work and doing so carefully. And like I said earlier, intentionally learning it and taking the time to mess with it. Exciting projects, initiatives. I mean, there's a ton that we're working on, but in 2.5 weeks on October 28th is GitHub Universe. That's our big developer conference. All the information about Universe is online. You can actually go online and watch like the keynotes from Universe and stuff. So go to GitHub Universe online. Hold on, GitHub Universe. What's the URL for that? And there will be so many announcements there. I don't want to spoil anything because there's so many cool announcements coming up. It's great. What's the best way for people to find you? Yeah, me right here. So if you're looking for the newest things that are coming out, check out the Universe website and watch live when we're doing our keynotes and stuff. It's going to be amazing. And Melio, yes, the check's in the mail. If you're stuck in code, how should we ask GPT without vibing? So being stuck in code, you can literally say to GPT, to Copilot, to any of these, you say, do not give me the answer. Imagine you are a teacher assistant who needs to help me understand this section of code that I'm having trouble with. Answer this question, and then you give it your question. So you are prompting the AI model to not give you, just tell it, don't give me an answer. I don't want an answer. It doesn't help me. And it won't. So literally prompt engineering and making the right prompt is what helps you get the right answer. C-School ComStar, community building gold nuggets. One of the best things I learned about community from C-School, from ComSor, and for running these co-working sessions in Discord that I do, and the community that I run now, Campus Experts. I think the most important thing about community is empathy, is taking the time to understand the other person's position, the other person's potential issues, and where the other person's coming from. It's very easy to assume what the other person is thinking or doing or saying. But it's much harder to pause and go, what is this person looking to get from me? What is this person looking to achieve here? And how can I help them in doing that? I think empathy is, no joke, I think empathy is like the thing that made all of human civilization possible. The ability, 8,000 years ago for a human to look at another human and be like, even though you're not my direct family, I care about your survival, because when more of us survive, more of us survive. And so the ability to understand what another person is going through is, I think, a cornerstone of the human experience. And so everything in community, I think, starts with empathy. And so when you're running a community, when you're building community, when you're connecting with people, do so with empathy and kindness and an open heart. I think that's That's my community nugget that I really think that is most important. Make a good logic flow with the help of AI. I think that like telling it, I need your help with this logic flow, and telling it what your idea is first. I think it's really tempting to go to OpenAI, to AI, and to generative AI, and to Copilot. Hey, do this for me. But what about asking it questions first? Hey, here's what I think could work. Could that work? What am I not considering? What do I need help? Things like that. Like those kind of questions are really valuable and helpful. So let me see. Yeah, so I'd say like ask it questions. Don't ask it to just give you stuff. Ask it questions. How do you become a GitHub campus expert? If you're a college student and you have more than 1 year left before you graduate in July of 2026, that's when applications are opening up next. We do applications once a year for GitHub campus experts. Campus experts are students around the world. 30% of them are in India, and they are around the world helping other students learn. And so the best thing you can do to be a campus expert is be active in your college communities. Be active on your campus, join clubs, help people learn. And then when applications roll around in July 2026, make sure you're subscribed to the GitHub Student Newsletter. Make sure you're paying attention to our socials for GitHub Education. When it comes, apply. July 2026, that's the next one. It's nice to have an Eric. He has more empathy than me. I answered confusing questions. Yes, this is Mona. Mona is available on the shop. We love Mona. And campus experts. Oh, one. I think I answered it in my discussion. I really appreciate y'all's time today. This has been honestly a highlight of my week. This is one of the things that I really love about this job is I get to go and talk to students. Please, learning is full of difficulty. Learning is full of mistakes. Learning is full of errors, and learning is full of doing a bunch of work and sometimes not getting anything for it. But who gives a crap? Do it and learn and get out there and be your best self. Y'all are amazing. Stay amazing. Keep learning. Thanks very much. Mona says bye, y'all. Thank you, Sunny. Thank you, Codédex. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have been so kind. I am out of here. You can find me metzing around on GitHub. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. LinkedIn. I'm PJ Metz. If you see a Puerto Rican flag in the PJ Metz, that's me. Put an emoji in your username on LinkedIn. It's good to detect if someone's a bot or not. I'll talk to y'all later. Thank you very much. I'm actually... Bye.